Hello there, this video is going to tell you a pretty brief history of Chickasaw County, where the name Chickasaw came from and how it kind of came to be about and how it is today. So first off, Chickasaw County actually was founded, officially recognized in 1851. You can see it right here on the map. 1851 was the date again where the government of Iowa officially recognized the county of Chickasaw. Remember that Native Americans have lived in this area for many years before, hence the name Chickasaw, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But as the county was kind of again founded and established, they had to first pick a county seat. And a county seat is where the important meetings are held and all of the different important matters are kind of carried out. And that county seat was founded just 3 years later in 1854, and was actually founded in Bradford. And this is going to kind of go back to the history and the founding of Chickasaw County as well. You can see Bradford over in the southwestern corner of Chickasaw County. It's actually very close to where Nashua would be, so very close to that area. Now let's take a look back at what we know about the American Indians in Iowa. Remember that we have the Sauk, the Fox, and the Iowa. And these are the main groups that kind of take precedent in this area. Remember, the Sioux are also in southern Minnesota and in northern Iowa as well, but for the most part we're talking about the Sauk, Fox, and the Iowa. And you can see here's a great map to kind of really show how Iowa was for many, many years. Chickasaw County is actually part of this neutral ground here. And let's remember that neutral is another word for peace or non-violence. That neutral ground is where there's supposed to be no fighting and no war. And you can see this neutral ground, you can see it on this map as well. Both maps are circled. It was supposed to be neutral ground in between the Sioux and the Sauk and the Fox. Remember, the Fox is also known as the Meskwaki. And generally we like to think of the Sauk and Fox as peaceful tribes, and the Sioux as peaceful tribes as well. But remember, at this time we have large trade going on where these different Native American tribes need lots of animal skins, and they kind of need to fight over these areas of land. So the national government did declare this neutral ground to kind of limit these Native Americans from fighting. And interestingly enough, in this neutral area, the Winnebago Native Americans were actually living. So in this area right here, the Winnebago, who were kind of in and out of Wisconsin, in and out of Illinois and back in Iowa as well, lived right into this neutral ground, into this neutral area where no fighting was supposed to happen. And in this area is where we actually have the founding of this Chickasaw County. So now, kind of to summarize everything, again, the Winnebago in this neutral area here. The Winnebago actually had a chief, and there's not much information about this chief. He never really wrote much down about his life. We actually don't know if this is his real name, but he was referred to as Chief Bradford, and this is where we get that original town, this original county seat known as in Chickasaw County. And he was actually a chief for the Winnebago Indians. And actually, at this time, people were mistaken and thought that the Winnebago were the Chickasaw. The Chickasaw actually live in the southeast part of the United States, down by Florida. And they never really actually were in Iowa. That was actually the Winnebago, along with the other tribes, the Iowa and the Meskwaki that we talked about as well. So the Winnebago were actually mistaken for being the Chickasaw. And Bradford was thought to be the Chickasaw chief. And at that place he had a trading post, again right kind of near Nashua in what was that original town of Bradford. And around this time again, especially around 1800, remember, this is when things really kind of all the different tribes kind of get together and things really heat up as far as people fighting and trying to control the trade. So all these tribes are kind of trying to get into this area. Remember, we have the Sioux up here, and we have the Sauk and Iowa down here. And this neutral ground is really supposed to not have a lot of fighting. Unfortunately, some historians think that quite a bit of fighting would happen there, with the Winnebago coming over and with an actual trading post right in this area as well. So the Chickasaw County actually has its stems back to Native Americans, which is very true. But again, the Chickasaw is never really in this area, mistaken for the Winnebago and for Chief Bradford, who had this trading post and kind of traded with the white settlers and the other Native American groups in the county. So though the Chickasaw County isn't really named after people that were really here, it still kind of has its basis for Native Americans, and it kind of comes back to the point that Native American populations had quite the impact in Iowa, especially in this area at that time, and hence we have Chickasaw County and the Chickasaws of your New Hampton. Along with the history of Chickasaw County, there's also a couple other quick facts and kind of fun facts to add in as well. We know living in New Hampton that we have the courthouse here. That means we have the county seat here in New Hampton where the government affairs occur. And in addition to that, we also have 9, including New Hampton, we have 9 other cities that are located in Chickasaw County. You can see that list right here. No need to read them off to you. You're probably aware, have driven through these different areas probably several times. So again, New Hampton does have the county seat, does have the courthouse here, but nonetheless, 9 cities still in Chickasaw County. A few numbers to throw at you. In 2012, the population of Chickasaw County, not New Hampton, but of Chickasaw County, so this includes all 9 of those cities, was right over 12,000 people. And in addition to that, the amount of land we have was just about, it was actually just under, but just about 505 square miles. So a pretty good amount of people for the amount of land that we have. Enough for people to be spread out, but also enough for people to have just their own chunk of land, and for plenty of land to be farmed as well. Lastly, a note to make is in Chickasaw County, with that 505 square miles, we do have 3 major U.S. highways. So you can see US 18, US 218, and of course US 63 that spans quite a bit down through Waterloo. In addition to that, we also have just plain Iowa highways with 24, 27, and Iowa Highway 346. So even though Chickasaw County is just, again, just about 505 square miles, we have plenty of good roads for people to travel on to different areas. So like I said, along with that history of Iowa, there's also these different, as far as the county seat, the cities, the population areas, and of course the highways that also add to the uniqueness of Chickasaw County as well.